Kayla Monroe had stood on enemy lines more times than she could count, but nothing prepared her for the humiliating injustice she now faced in her own country's courtroom. The atmosphere was electric, every breath held, every eye riveted, as Officer Lucas Ford stormed towards her, his footsteps echoing harshly off the marble floor. Norfolk's infamous racist cop, notorious for his unchecked police misconduct, locked eyes with Kayla, hostility radiating from every pore. He snarled a cold accusation that cut through the tense silence. "This woman is a liar, Your Honor. Another desperate attempt to slander good officers serving this city." Before she could respond, Ford violently grabbed her wrist, his fingers digging into her flesh as he yanked her from the witness stand. Gasps rippled through the courtroom as the crowd watched in disbelief, their cell phones quickly raised, desperate to capture every second of what promised to be another viral courtroom drama. Kayla, a decorated black female Navy SEAL, remained quiet, her composure steel-like despite the clear wrongful treatment unfolding publicly. Her dignified silence only seemed to enrage Ford further. With contemptuous arrogance, the officer twisted her arm behind her back, roughly slamming her body against the courtroom wall in a shocking display of abuse of power. His hateful glare revealed deep-rooted racial animosity, as though Kayla's very presence as a strong black woman defied some invisible social order he was intent on protecting. A voice shouted from somewhere in the courtroom, demanding justice, but the judge sat frozen, seemingly paralyzed by the dramatic escalation. Whispers of disbelief filled the room as shocked faces exchanged glances, the horror clearly evident. Many recognized Kayla. Her face was recently spotlighted on the local news as one of the few women ever to wear the revered Navy SEAL trident. Yet today, she stood helplessly restrained by an officer whose badge seemed to grant him immunity from accountability. Kayla's breathing steadied, her expression unreadable, betraying nothing of the sharp indignation that boiled beneath her calm facade. She felt a collective rage emanating from the courtroom, yet no one dared intervene. Fearful of Ford's unchecked authority and explosive temper, the crowd stayed painfully silent, leaving Kayla isolated against the brutal force gripping her wrists. Little did Officer Lucas Ford realize, his arrogance had just ignited an explosive fuse of instant karma he could never hope to extinguish. For beneath Kayla's quiet, disciplined exterior burned a fierce determination for truth and justice, honed through years of elite military training. Her strategic mind rapidly analyzed the situation, calculating her next move with deadly precision. She had faced far deadlier threats overseas, battled terrorists under fire, and diffused hostage situations with unwavering confidence. Today, in her own homeland, she refused to let injustice prevail. As Ford tightened the handcuffs around her wrists, unaware of the storm of viral outrage about to unfold, Kayla's eyes hardened with silent defiance. This courtroom injustice wasn't merely another racial profiling statistic. This was the breaking point, the pivotal moment where a black Navy SEAL would finally fight back. And what Kayla planned next would not only shock Officer Lucas Ford, it would shake the foundations of an entire corrupt system. Kayla Monroe never envisioned becoming a viral sensation for confronting racial injustice in her own backyard. Growing up in Norfolk, Virginia, a city steeped in military tradition, yet painfully familiar with cases of racial profiling, Kayla had always carried within herself a quiet resolve. Her father, Commander Marcus Monroe, was a decorated Navy officer who served honorably in missions around the globe. Her mother, Dr. Sylvia Monroe, an educator renowned for her relentless advocacy for civil rights, taught Kayla early in life about the delicate balance between strength and patience. Kayla, inspired by her parents' integrity and courage, knew from childhood that she was destined to serve her country. Excelling in both athletics and academics, Kayla breezed through high school as valedictorian, earning respect and admiration from teachers and peers alike. Driven by an innate sense of justice and honor, she decided to apply for a spot in one of the most rigorous training programs America offered, the Navy SEALs. The pathway was anything but easy. Yet she succeeded through unwavering determination, becoming one of the first black women in history to earn the prestigious Navy SEAL Trident. Her remarkable achievement resonated deeply within her community, especially among young girls who now saw a real-life heroine standing before them. After multiple combat tours overseas, Kayla returned to Norfolk on leave, yearning for a peaceful respite. But peace eluded her from the moment she stepped off the plane and encountered firsthand a distressing truth. The city she called home was embroiled in controversy. Headlines buzzed about rising police misconduct and rampant racial profiling by certain officers in the Norfolk Police Department. Officer Lucas Ford, in particular, was becoming synonymous with unchecked brutality. Despite numerous allegations, Ford remained untouched, shielded by a departmental wall of silence and the indifference of local authorities. Kayla observed quietly, attempting to stay out of the spotlight during her leave. That changed abruptly one rainy afternoon, when a routine errand led her to witness the horrifying reality of Ford's abuse of power. Stopped at a red light near Waterside Drive, she noticed a commotion unfolding at the corner gas station. Kayla's eyes narrowed as she watched Officer Ford aggressively approach a young black man named Darnell Peters, whose only crime appeared to be walking with his hood up against the rain. Her instincts told her to document the incident, sensing another abuse of power about to occur. She quickly recorded on her cell phone as Ford's harsh voice echoed across the pavement, accusing Darnell of looking suspicious. Ford's hand moved swiftly, gripping Darnell by the collar before violently shoving him against the hood of his patrol car. "This is exactly what racial profiling looks like," Kayla whispered under her breath, her heart pounding with frustration. Ford's aggression escalated without provocation, turning routine questioning into blatant assault. Unable to merely stand by, Kayla stepped forward calmly, her voice steady yet firm. "Officer, I think there's a misunderstanding here. This young man hasn't done anything wrong." Ford spun around, surprised by her audacity. His eyes flickered with hostility as they scanned her face, quickly noting her assertiveness. "And who exactly are you?" Ford spat back, his voice laced with disdain. Kayla refused to rise to his baiting tone, calmly replying, "I'm a concerned citizen. Your treatment of this young man is completely inappropriate." The standoff lasted several tense seconds before Ford reluctantly released Darnell with a final, ominous glare toward Kayla, promising silent retribution. From that moment, Kayla knew she'd made a powerful enemy, yet she felt no regret. Her sense of duty wouldn't allow her to overlook injustice, even if it placed her squarely in Ford's crosshairs. When news spread of her confrontation with Ford, local media swarmed to interview her. Friends and family praised her bravery, but others, particularly in law enforcement circles, sought to label her as an agitator. Online, opinions exploded, quickly turning her courageous stand into a controversial debate. The public attention Kayla drew made her reluctant at first to testify against Ford. She knew the personal cost would be immense, but eventually, her mother's words resonated deeply. "Staying silent only gives power to injustice." Determined to be a voice for the voiceless, Kayla agreed to testify in court about what she had witnessed. As the trial drew near, Kayla faced mounting pressure. Her superiors at the Naval Special Warfare Command cautioned her against the risks to her military career, subtly hinting at potential repercussions. Despite external and internal pressures, Kayla prepared meticulously. Gathering detailed records and authentic body cam footage from independent sources that depicted Ford's troubling pattern of racial profiling and police misconduct, she intended to present undeniable evidence of systemic issues within Norfolk's police department. Each piece of evidence was a powerful indictment against an officer who had, until now, evaded accountability. The morning of her testimony, Kayla walked into the courthouse with her head held high, well aware of the eyes scrutinizing her every step. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, curiosity mingling with skepticism. Detractors whispered accusations of attention-seeking and defamation, but she refused to be deterred by unfounded criticism. Her sense of duty eclipsed personal fear, her resolve rooted firmly in truth. When the bailiff called her to the stand, Kayla's voice never wavered. She outlined methodically the incident she had witnessed: Ford's excessive force against Darnell, his immediate hostility when confronted. Her testimony was articulate and composed, steeped in undeniable facts. But as Kayla spoke, Ford's simmering rage reached a boiling point. Feeling cornered by her compelling testimony, he erupted violently, accusing her of deceit and forcibly removing her from the witness stand in a shocking display of courtroom injustice. This unexpected turn of events catapulted Kayla into the national spotlight, the courtroom drama becoming instant fodder for news networks and social media platforms. Videos capturing Ford's aggressive assault exploded online, triggering widespread public outrage and shining a harsh spotlight on the systemic abuses she had tried desperately to expose. Yet even as she stood humiliated in handcuffs, Kayla knew this story was far from finished. The battle for justice had only just begun. As news of Officer Lucas Ford's shocking courtroom assault rapidly spread, it ignited fierce reactions nationwide. The viral courtroom videos flooded social media timelines and dominated evening news segments, sparking impassioned debates on racial profiling, abuse of power, and police accountability. Hashtags demanding justice for Kayla Monroe quickly trended, highlighting the powerful public outrage against Ford's unchecked aggression. Despite the swelling tide of anger and solidarity toward her, Kayla found herself increasingly isolated, navigating intense scrutiny both personally and professionally. Her Navy SEAL command immediately initiated a formal internal inquiry, a standard procedure that left Kayla temporarily suspended pending investigation. The message was delivered by Admiral Howard Bennett himself, whose voice carried a quiet disappointment she found more painful than outright anger. "This isn't about doubting your integrity, Monroe," Admiral Bennett told her solemnly, his eyes weighed with unspoken regret. "But we must follow protocol. The media storm makes it impossible to ignore." She nodded quietly, accepting the decision with stoic professionalism despite feeling the weight of betrayal pressing heavily on her chest. That same evening, while Kayla grappled privately with the painful suspension, a wave of coordinated attacks erupted online. Anonymous trolls unleashed a storm of fabricated accusations against her character, designed to erode public support and discredit her honorable military career. Disturbing rumors emerged overnight, accusing Kayla of past disciplinary issues during her Navy SEAL training and falsely claiming she had a violent temper and a hidden agenda against law enforcement. These lies spread swiftly, driven by well-funded misinformation campaigns seeking to deflect attention from Officer Ford's criminal misconduct. Kayla watched helplessly as her reputation was systematically smeared. Her normally supportive community appeared to fracture, the trust she had painstakingly built crumbling rapidly. Hate-filled emails flooded her inbox daily, while social media messages containing thinly veiled threats accumulated with alarming frequency. Even close friends and colleagues seemed hesitant, cautiously keeping their distance, fearful of guilt by association. The attacks escalated dangerously when her family became targets. One night, her mother, Sylvia, received an anonymous, menacing phone call warning her daughter to withdraw her testimony immediately or face dire consequences. The voice was cold and untraceable, yet disturbingly calm, sending chills down Sylvia's spine. Terrified but defiant, Sylvia refused to yield, inspired by her daughter's unwavering courage. However, Kayla could not shake the guilt she felt seeing her loved ones thrust into danger because of her decision to stand against injustice. Meanwhile, Ford leveraged connections within the Norfolk Police Department to rally support, presenting himself as a misunderstood officer wrongly accused by a disgruntled veteran seeking attention. His defense attorney strategically appeared on local media outlets, framing the situation as a tragic misunderstanding exaggerated by online mobs. The narrative was carefully spun to cast Ford as the real victim, manipulating public sentiment in his favor and attempting to minimize the brutal act of aggression millions had witnessed online. Facing relentless attacks and personal threats, Kayla leaned heavily on her father, Commander Marcus Monroe. His steadfast support and calm wisdom became a guiding force during those challenging days. Marcus encouraged his daughter to remain steadfast, reminding her gently, "Your commitment to truth is your strongest weapon. Don't let their lies cloud who you truly are." With renewed determination, Kayla channeled her energy into meticulously preparing evidence and witness accounts to substantiate her testimony in upcoming hearings. Despite the constant emotional and psychological warfare, Kayla found an unexpected ally in local journalist Emily Hartman. Known for her uncompromising investigative reporting, Emily approached Kayla discreetly, offering her a platform to expose the truth behind Norfolk's troubling history of police misconduct. Cautious at first, Kayla gradually trusted Emily, sharing previously undisclosed body cam footage, damning internal emails, and testimonies from other victims afraid to speak publicly. Together, Kayla and Emily began uncovering shocking evidence of deep-seated corruption and systemic racism inside Norfolk's police department. They learned Officer Ford wasn't merely a rogue officer, but part of an intricate network that routinely covered up racial abuses, protected by influential figures in city leadership. Ford's record revealed numerous prior incidents swept conveniently under the rug, allowing him to evade scrutiny time and again. Their partnership deepened as new, compelling evidence surfaced. Kayla's resolve strengthened with each discovery, yet her unease grew as she realized the dangerous scope of her investigation. A chilling turning point came when her friend and fellow Navy SEAL, Lieutenant Jake Cooper, was attacked brutally late at night after publicly defending Kayla online. Cooper survived, but his injuries sent an unmistakable sinister message to Kayla. Anyone supporting her quest for justice risked severe consequences. Despite these mounting threats, Kayla's conviction remained unshaken. She had faced enemy fire overseas, stared down terrorists, and navigated perilous hostage rescues. She refused to cower before corrupt officials hiding behind badges. Drawing on her extensive military training, Kayla carefully documented each threat, discreetly contacting trusted federal agents outside Norfolk, preparing quietly for the explosive courtroom showdown still ahead. Days before the next pivotal court hearing, a secret informant from inside the police department finally reached out. Officer Miguel Rivera, plagued by guilt and unwilling to remain complicit in the ongoing injustice, agreed to testify confidentially. He promised damning evidence, proof implicating Ford in broader departmental corruption. Kayla understood the significance of Rivera's courageous decision, but also recognized the risks involved. She cautioned Rivera, promising protection and anonymity, yet deep down, she knew the price of justice often demanded extraordinary sacrifices. As Kayla prepared for the courtroom battle awaiting her, she felt profoundly aware of the stakes. She had unwittingly become the face of a nationwide conversation about racial profiling, institutional corruption, and the unchecked abuse of police power. Though fiercely determined, Kayla grappled with personal anxiety, the weight of responsibility almost overwhelming. But beneath her quiet exterior lay an unbreakable spirit, fortified by integrity and unyielding resolve. Kayla Monroe stood poised to confront Norfolk's darkest secrets head-on, prepared to reveal the truth to a nation watching closely. Yet she knew in her heart this battle wasn't hers alone. It belonged to every victim silenced by fear, every family fractured by injustice. Kayla's voice would rise above the noise, demanding accountability, fighting not just for herself, but for countless others still yearning for true justice. When the day of the pivotal court hearing finally arrived, tension crackled through the packed courtroom. Cameras lined the back walls, lenses trained on every facial expression, every subtle gesture. Millions waited anxiously, following live streams and social media updates, hungry for justice and accountability. Kayla Monroe entered quietly yet resolutely, her presence radiating strength and composure amid the chaos around her. Despite the recent campaign to smear her reputation, Kayla stood tall, knowing this moment defined more than just her own story. It was a critical juncture in the nationwide fight against racial injustice and police misconduct. The first climax detonated swiftly as Kayla prepared to introduce key evidence, a comprehensive body cam footage compilation meticulously gathered to illustrate Officer Lucas Ford's persistent abuse of power. Yet before she could begin, Ford's defense attorney, Stephen Carmichael, rose dramatically, holding up a USB drive in his hand. His voice boomed through the courtroom. "Your Honor, this footage Ms. Monroe is about to present is a manipulated forgery, a blatant attempt to deceive this court." Gasps echoed throughout the gallery, confusion erupting instantly. Carmichael confidently waved forensic documents, presenting alleged expert testimonies that claimed the videos had been edited maliciously, casting Kayla as a vengeful liar seeking notoriety. Kayla felt her pulse quicken, disbelief surging through her veins. She knew with absolute certainty that the footage was genuine, untouched, and damning. Yet now, doubt had poisoned the courtroom atmosphere, and public opinion teetered precariously. This bold tactic effectively cast doubt on all her evidence, threatening to derail the entire case. Ford's lips twisted into a smug smirk, confident his deception would bury her credibility permanently. The second climax quickly followed, delivering yet another staggering blow. Carmichael called a surprise witness, a young woman named Vanessa Hale, who testified she previously served with Kayla during Navy SEAL training. In a trembling voice, Vanessa falsely claimed Kayla had exhibited severe anger issues and violent outbursts, further supporting the narrative of an unstable, dishonest accuser. As the false accusations filled the courtroom, Kayla's heart ached painfully. Betrayal, shock, and anger warred silently within her, yet she remained outwardly calm, unwilling to give her detractors any satisfaction. Next, the third climax erupted in spectacular fashion. Kayla's lawyer, Aaron Fields, swiftly exposed glaring inconsistencies in Vanessa's testimony during cross-examination, expertly revealing clear evidence that she had never even served alongside Kayla. Cornered by undeniable facts, Vanessa broke down emotionally on the stand, admitting she'd been pressured and paid by Ford's associates to fabricate her accusations. This revelation sent shockwaves through the courtroom, dramatically swinging momentum back in Kayla's favor. Murmurs grew louder, anger and indignation visibly shaking the assembled crowd. Officer Ford's confident facade began cracking visibly, sweat beading on his brow. But the fourth climax slammed into Kayla moments later, shattering her brief reprieve. An urgent message flashed on her phone. Her father, Commander Marcus Monroe, had been abruptly detained by local police under vague and suspicious charges. The timing was clearly deliberate, a ruthless tactic intended to intimidate Kayla into silence. Fear for her father's safety twisted painfully in her chest, though she understood surrendering now would erase all progress made toward exposing systemic corruption. Gritting her teeth, Kayla bravely carried on, knowing her father would expect no less. The fifth climax was deeply personal and unexpected. Moments before recess, a courthouse security guard discreetly handed Kayla an anonymous note. It was a chillingly precise threat, warning her that continuing her testimony would ensure severe consequences not only for herself, but for her family too. Her fingers tightened instinctively, rage simmering beneath her composed exterior. Clearly, this wasn't merely Officer Ford at work. Someone powerful behind the scenes orchestrated this sinister campaign of fear and suppression. Kayla knew these intimidation tactics aimed at silencing the truth only solidified her determination. Returning after recess, the sixth climax surged violently forward. A breaking news alert rippled across media platforms. Officer Miguel Rivera, Kayla's secret informant, prepared to testify against Ford, had been brutally attacked, severely injured, and hospitalized in critical condition. The unmistakable message was clear. Loyalty to the truth would be met with ruthless violence. Shock gripped the courtroom audience while Ford's allies exchanged subtle glances, emboldened by their ability to silence dissent through brute force. Yet even as dread hung thickly in the air, Kayla's quiet resolve refused to fracture. The seventh climax unfolded dramatically when Emily Hartman, the fearless investigative journalist, hurriedly entered the courtroom. Without hesitation, Emily boldly approached the bench, urgently requesting permission to testify immediately. Presenting damning internal police emails obtained through her relentless investigation, Emily unveiled irrefutable evidence confirming Officer Ford's involvement in orchestrated cover-ups and racial profiling practices spanning several years. The courtroom erupted into chaos, stunned disbelief gripping spectators as Ford's carefully constructed facade began unraveling irreparably. Cameras flashed furiously, capturing the seismic shift unfolding before everyone's eyes. Kayla felt gratitude and admiration toward Emily, whose bravery had injected vital momentum into the pursuit of justice. However, the eighth climax arrived cruelly. Judge Mitchell abruptly ruled Emily's presented evidence inadmissible, citing procedural technicalities exploited deftly by Ford's legal team. Despite the staggering proof now publicly exposed, it remained legally untouchable. An atmosphere of frustrated helplessness descended heavily upon the courtroom, deflating hopes and fueling anger among those desperate for accountability. Amid this emotional turmoil, the ninth climax quietly brewed beneath the surface. During a brief adjournment, Aaron Fields approached Kayla privately, his expression grim yet determined. "We still have one crucial card to play," he whispered urgently, "but timing is everything." Revealing an unexpected twist, Fields informed her confidentially that the FBI had secretly launched a federal investigation into Ford's corrupt network based on evidence Kayla herself had bravely provided weeks earlier. The explosive truth hovered tantalizingly close, yet remained frustratingly beyond their immediate grasp. Kayla inhaled deeply, her heart hammering with renewed resolve. Justice felt closer than ever before, despite overwhelming odds and ruthless adversaries. Though battered by relentless attacks, personal threats, and manipulative deception, Kayla refused to be defeated. Standing firmly, she prepared to face the final, 10th climax head-on, one that promised to permanently alter the trajectory of the case and expose the darkest secrets Norfolk had desperately tried to hide from public view. As the courtroom reconvened, all eyes fixed on Officer Lucas Ford, whose previous arrogance now seemed muted behind a mask of uncertainty. The air was thick with anticipation, the tension palpable as spectators leaned forward instinctively, sensing another seismic twist was imminent. Kayla Monroe took her place calmly beside her attorney, Aaron Fields, her composed expression masking the storm raging beneath the surface. She understood clearly that this moment was critical, not merely for herself, but for the countless others victimized by unchecked racial profiling and police misconduct. Justice hung in the balance, its outcome uncertain yet crucially within reach. The 10th and most explosive climax ignited abruptly. Ford's attorney, Stephen Carmichael, rose dramatically once again, confidently claiming that Kayla herself had been secretly recorded offering a financial bribe to Miguel Rivera, the injured police informant. Carmichael theatrically waved a flash drive he alleged contained damning audio evidence, falsely suggesting that Kayla had manipulated Rivera into fabricating accusations against Ford. The audacity of the lie stunned Kayla into momentary silence, her blood turning to ice. The courtroom erupted into shocked murmurs as Ford smirked triumphantly, convinced this fabricated evidence would bury her forever. But Aaron Fields quickly sprang to action, seizing control of the narrative. Standing tall, his voice clear and powerful, he addressed the judge with unwavering confidence. "Your Honor," Fields stated firmly, "this court has witnessed repeated attempts by Officer Ford's counsel to distort the truth through falsified evidence and intimidation tactics. We now request an immediate forensic review of this supposed audio recording and demand transparency in verifying its authenticity." The judge hesitated momentarily, then reluctantly agreed. This crucial decision temporarily halted the deceptive momentum created by Carmichael's false accusation. As the forensic review proceeded rapidly in a nearby room, tension crackled through the courtroom. Kayla steadied her breath, mentally preparing for whatever outcome awaited. Minutes stretched painfully into an eternity before the forensic expert finally returned, bearing decisive results. Addressing the courtroom gravely, the expert announced unequivocally, "After thorough examination, it is conclusively determined that this audio file has been digitally manipulated. Its claims are entirely fraudulent." A collective gasp rippled through spectators, the audacious attempt at deception finally collapsing spectacularly. Officer Lucas Ford visibly blanched, his confidence evaporating instantly, replaced by desperate panic. Realizing his gambit had catastrophically backfired, Ford glanced anxiously toward his attorney, whose expression darkened gravely. Fields, capitalizing expertly on this dramatic reversal, quickly called his own surprise witness. Special Agent Olivia Bennett from the FBI's Civil Rights Division, stepping confidently forward into the stunned silence. Agent Bennett's testimony delivered a devastating blow to Ford and his corrupt network, meticulously detailing a complex federal investigation already underway. "Our investigation, independently initiated based upon evidence provided by Ms. Monroe weeks ago," Agent Bennett declared forcefully, "has conclusively documented widespread patterns of racial profiling, excessive force, bribery, and obstruction within the Norfolk Police Department, directly implicating Officer Lucas Ford and numerous accomplices." Bennett presented irrefutable proof. Bank records, surveillance footage, intercepted communications that systematically unraveled the entire corrupt apparatus shielding Ford. Her calm yet authoritative voice resonated profoundly, each revelation meticulously destroying Ford's crumbling defense. Public outrage rapidly surged, observers shaken by the depths of corruption now fully exposed. Cameras captured every explosive revelation, broadcasting nationwide in real time, ensuring viral courtroom footage ignited national conversations about police accountability and systemic racism. Cornered by undeniable truth, Officer Lucas Ford's veneer finally completely shattered. Panic turned to fury as Ford abruptly rose, erupting into an uncontrolled rage. "This entire trial is a disgrace!" Ford shouted hysterically, eyes wild with desperation. "You're all making a mistake! You'll regret this!" His explosive outburst stunned everyone present, further solidifying public perception of his guilt and instability. Judge Mitchell swiftly ordered Ford restrained, his dramatic meltdown vividly captured live for millions witnessing nationwide. The courtroom dissolved into chaos briefly, stunned spectators reeling from the dramatic revelations. Kayla watched calmly, finally sensing justice within tangible reach. Her relentless pursuit of truth, integrity, and accountability had weathered relentless personal attacks, threats, and malicious fabrications. Though emotionally drained, Kayla's quiet resilience inspired countless observers, her courageous stance becoming emblematic of justice triumphing over systemic injustice. As bailiffs escorted a restrained and disgraced Ford from the courtroom, Kayla felt profound relief mingled with sober reflection. She understood the battle wasn't fully won yet. The fight against corruption and racial profiling remained far broader and deeper than one courtroom victory. Nevertheless, today marked an undeniable turning point, a powerful precedent affirming accountability for abuse of power within law enforcement. Minutes later, the courtroom quieted, Judge Mitchell solemnly delivering final instructions. "Based upon today's staggering revelations and presented evidence," Judge Mitchell stated clearly, "this court orders Officer Lucas Ford immediately detained, pending formal criminal charges. Additionally, this court strongly recommends federal oversight and immediate reform of the Norfolk Police Department." His verdict sent a shockwave through the assembled spectators, simultaneously delivering vindication and a powerful warning to corrupt officials nationwide. As the courtroom slowly emptied, Kayla Monroe stood silently, absorbing the monumental gravity of today's victory. Her attorney gently squeezed her shoulder, whispering quietly, "Your courage changed lives today." Kayla offered a weary yet genuine smile, deeply moved by the impact of their relentless fight for justice. Walking slowly from the courthouse, Kayla encountered throngs of supporters, media, and community members gathered outside, erupting into emotional applause as she appeared. Cameras flashed continuously, documenting a historic moment defined by bravery, integrity, and unwavering commitment to justice. Kayla humbly raised a hand in gratitude, briefly addressing the assembled crowd with powerful simplicity. Today, truth triumphed, but our fight against injustice and racial discrimination must never stop. This victory belongs to everyone courageous enough to demand better. Her heartfelt words resonated deeply, encapsulating a profound message of hope and accountability broadcast nationwide, leaving millions inspired by her unyielding resolve. Yet even as Kayla savored this pivotal triumph, she understood clearly the journey toward true justice and equality had only just begun. Today's courtroom victory offered powerful momentum, but the fight ahead required sustained courage, determination, and collective action. In the days following the explosive courtroom drama, public attention continued to blaze fiercely around Kayla Monroe's triumphant stand against Officer Lucas Ford and the Norfolk Police Department. News outlets across America relentlessly dissected the powerful courtroom footage, with pundits analyzing every detail of Ford's epic downfall and the damning evidence exposed by FBI Special Agent Olivia Bennett. Kayla's quiet dignity and unwavering resolve struck a profound chord, propelling her story into a nationwide symbol of courage against racial injustice and systemic corruption. Yet beneath the celebrations and public acclaim, a far darker reality loomed quietly. One evening, as Kayla sat alone in her modest apartment, processing the whirlwind of events, an unexpected knock at her door shattered the temporary peace. Her instincts on high alert, Kayla cautiously opened the door to reveal Agent Olivia Bennett, standing quietly yet urgently on her doorstep. The FBI agent's normally unflappable demeanor appeared visibly shaken, her eyes grave with unmistakable worry. "Ms. Monroe," Bennett spoke softly but urgently, stepping inside, closing the door behind her. "We need to talk immediately." Kayla felt anxiety tighten her chest, sensing something deeply troubling was imminent. Bennett hesitated briefly before continuing gravely. "Our investigation has uncovered something far bigger than Officer Ford's network. He was merely one small piece in a much larger puzzle involving high-ranking city officials and senior law enforcement personnel. Norfolk's police corruption runs far deeper than we initially realized." Kayla's pulse quickened dangerously, realizing the gravity of Bennett's revelation. Bennett continued, her voice intense. "But there's something even worse. The real reason you faced such ruthless opposition isn't just because of Ford. It's because of someone powerful hidden behind the scenes, orchestrating everything. Someone influential enough to manipulate media coverage, intimidate witnesses, even infiltrate the FBI investigation itself." Confusion and shock coursed sharply through Kayla. "Who?" she asked carefully, sensing an answer she might not want to hear. Bennett inhaled deeply before revealing quietly, "Judge William Mitchell." Kayla froze, disbelief washing through her. The respected judge presiding over her case had secretly masterminded the campaign against her from the start, pulling Ford's strings, manipulating evidence, orchestrating threats and intimidation, all while hiding behind the trusted authority of his judicial robe. Bennett produced confidential FBI records detailing secret offshore accounts, encrypted communications, and hidden recordings linking Judge Mitchell directly to the corrupt ring controlling Ford. Kayla's hands trembled slightly as she scanned the documents, realizing the depth of betrayal and deception. Mitchell's impartial facade had allowed him to sabotage justice from within the courtroom itself, every ruling carefully calculated to protect himself and silence Kayla permanently. Recovering her composure, Kayla met Bennett's eyes determinedly. "What do we do next?" she asked firmly, unwilling to crumble beneath this shocking twist. Bennett's reply was grim yet resolute. "This won't be easy. Mitchell's influence runs deep, but we have one chance, one opportunity to publicly expose him before he buries all evidence and silences everyone involved. We need you, Kayla. Your voice and credibility are crucial to unraveling Mitchell's empire of corruption. Kayla understood clearly the dangers she now faced. Confronting Officer Ford had been perilous enough, but publicly exposing a powerful judge with deep political ties escalated the stakes exponentially. Yet her inner resolve only hardened further. She had already confronted ruthless threats, survived brutal character assassinations, and stood defiantly against overwhelming odds. She refused to back down now, not when justice remained unfinished. "I'll do whatever it takes," Kayla promised resolutely, her quiet voice edged with steely determination. "We started this fight. We'll finish it. Mitchell must be exposed no matter the cost." Together, Kayla and Agent Bennett meticulously devised a careful, strategic response, understanding clearly that exposing a sitting judge required flawless execution. Utilizing Bennett's carefully gathered evidence, financial records, witness testimony, and intercepted communications, they prepared an airtight case against Mitchell, documenting his web of manipulation, bribery, and obstruction. But the final key lay with Officer Lucas Ford himself, now held awaiting formal charges. Bennett recognized clearly that Ford represented their strongest chance at breaking Mitchell's iron grip, if only they could compel him to speak publicly. Kayla made the controversial but courageous decision to confront Ford directly in jail, sensing personal interaction might sway him toward confession. When Kayla arrived at the jail, escorted discreetly by Agent Bennett, Ford sat sullenly in the visitation room, visibly defiant yet shaken. At first, he greeted Kayla with bitter hostility, refusing cooperation, still determined to protect Mitchell and himself. Yet Kayla's powerful, heartfelt plea steadily chipped away at Ford's stubborn defenses. "Lucas," she began calmly, deliberately using his first name. "You were used, manipulated, and set up to take the fall. Mitchell will sacrifice you without hesitation to save himself. But right now you have a chance, maybe your only chance, to reclaim some shred of honor, to finally stand for truth instead of corruption. It's your decision." Kayla's raw sincerity and unyielding resolve finally penetrated Ford's protective veneer, breaking through years of hardened defiance. With visible reluctance yet undeniable clarity, Ford began speaking candidly, detailing Mitchell's deep involvement, manipulations, bribes, threats, and carefully planned obstructions of justice. Agent Bennett recorded every damning revelation, assembling incontrovertible testimony directly implicating Judge Mitchell. With Ford's cooperation secured, Kayla prepared for the most dangerous, daring phase of their mission, publicly confronting Judge Mitchell himself. Utilizing Emily Hartman's media platform once more, they arranged an explosive televised interview guaranteed to captivate national attention. Emily, known for fearless, uncompromising journalism, agreed instantly, sensing history unfolding through her relentless pursuit of truth. The evening of the broadcast, millions tuned in nationwide, drawn by dramatic teasers promising shocking revelations from Kayla Monroe herself. Sitting beside Emily Hartman, Kayla recounted every detail methodically yet passionately, vividly exposing Mitchell's corrupt web of deception and obstruction, supported by meticulously documented FBI evidence. Audiences nationwide sat stunned, gripped by the sheer audacity and scope of corruption Kayla bravely unveiled. Minutes into the broadcast, Judge Mitchell desperately attempted damage control, publicly denouncing Kayla's accusations as baseless defamation. Yet Ford's recorded confession, broadcast nationwide for the first time, swiftly shattered Mitchell's desperate defense. Hearing Ford, Mitchell's former ally, testify candidly and publicly against him destroyed Mitchell's remaining credibility. A tidal wave of public outrage erupted instantly, demanding Mitchell's immediate resignation and arrest. Within hours, Mitchell was apprehended by federal authorities, his downfall stunningly swift, yet thoroughly satisfying. National headlines declared the unprecedented triumph of truth over corruption, justice over systemic injustice. Kayla's courageous pursuit inspired nationwide reform conversations, highlighting desperately needed federal oversight, addressing institutional racism and unchecked abuses within law enforcement. Though deeply exhausted by the harrowing journey, Kayla understood clearly that her voice had sparked profound change. Her bravery offered hope, inspired action, and reignited belief that integrity and justice could prevail even amid pervasive corruption. Walking quietly home after the monumental broadcast, Kayla paused briefly beneath the gently falling twilight, sensing her parents' quiet pride somewhere above, witnessing her courageous stand. Yet even amid triumphant victory, Kayla remained deeply aware of challenges ahead. She knew clearly systemic reform required sustained vigilance, collective courage, and relentless advocacy. But tonight, justice had indeed triumphed dramatically. A single courageous voice had inspired millions, proving truth, courage, and relentless determination could dismantle corruption's darkest empires. Kayla Monroe's quiet fight had become America's powerful catalyst for real, lasting change. In the weeks that followed, the transformative echoes of Kayla Monroe's courageous fight resonated profoundly across the nation. News of her story reached schools, colleges, and community centers, inspiring open conversations about racial injustice, police accountability, and systemic reform. Kayla became an unintended hero, her reluctant spotlight serving as a rallying cry for those who had long felt voiceless. Yet, despite countless invitations to speak publicly, she remained quietly humble, never seeking praise, but understanding deeply the responsibility that now rested upon her shoulders. One evening, Kayla stood silently at the waterfront near her childhood home in Norfolk, Virginia, gazing out over the calm, gently rolling waves. The sunset painted the sky in hues of gold and lavender, the tranquil scene starkly contrasting the stormy events she had weathered. She felt a gentle hand rest upon her shoulder, turning to see her father, Commander Marcus Monroe, quietly standing beside her. His proud eyes shone softly with warmth and admiration, his presence bringing immediate comfort to her weary heart. "I'm proud of you," Marcus spoke softly, his voice filled with unspoken emotion. "You've reminded everyone what real bravery looks like, not in battles abroad, but in the daily fights for truth and dignity right here at home." Kayla felt tears welling quietly in her eyes, deeply moved by his words. Marcus continued gently, "Your mother always believed deeply in fighting for justice. No matter the personal cost, she would be incredibly proud of the woman you've become." His words unlocked something deep within Kayla, a profound realization that the strength she had summoned to confront injustice wasn't hers alone. It belonged equally to the generations before her who courageously challenged prejudice, sacrificed for equality, and stood resiliently in the face of hatred and discrimination. She understood clearly her fight was an echo of theirs, carrying forward a legacy far greater than any single victory. Kayla turned thoughtfully toward her father, a quiet determination filling her voice. "This isn't over, Dad," she said softly, yet resolutely. "One victory doesn't erase generations of injustice. But I promise I'll keep fighting, not just for myself, but for all those who still endure unfair treatment because of who they are." Marcus nodded solemnly, recognizing clearly the depth of her commitment. "Your voice matters, Kayla. You've already inspired more change than you realize. Keep speaking truth, even when it feels impossible, because real justice only prevails when brave individuals refuse silence." In the days afterward, Kayla embraced her newfound role with grace and humility, participating in community workshops, youth mentorship programs, and speaking engagements dedicated to social justice and police reform. She quietly urged community members, police officers, and civic leaders alike to engage openly, honestly, and courageously, always reminding them that true healing required accountability, dialogue, and sustained effort. Across the country, her words sparked powerful grassroots movements demanding institutional transparency, community oversight, and genuine reforms in police departments nationwide. Her story encouraged honest conversations at dinner tables, classrooms, and town halls, breaking barriers, challenging biases, and offering tangible hope for future generations. Yet, amid the transformative whirlwind, Kayla frequently returned to that quiet Norfolk waterfront, reflecting, recharging, and remembering clearly why her fight mattered. Standing beneath endless skies painted softly by twilight hues, Kayla knew clearly her journey had profoundly changed her, yet strengthened something timeless within her spirit. She had once believed courage meant simply overcoming personal fear. But now, Kayla understood true courage meant something deeper. It meant standing unflinchingly for what was right, even when facing overwhelming odds. True courage was found in the relentless pursuit of justice, dignity, and equality for every human being, regardless of race, background, or circumstance. As gentle waves lapped softly against the shore, Kayla breathed deeply, embracing her quiet role in something far bigger than herself. Her voice, once nearly silenced by intimidation and deception, now resonated powerfully, igniting collective strength, unity, and determination. Turning quietly away from the waterfront, Kayla Monroe stepped boldly forward, committed more deeply than ever to carrying forward the powerful legacy entrusted to her. She knew clearly the fight for equality and justice would never end, but neither would her courage, resilience, or unwavering belief that a better, fairer future remained possible for all. And in that quiet moment beneath the fading evening sky, Kayla silently promised herself one profound truth. As long as injustice persisted, her voice would rise courageously, clearly, and relentlessly, championing truth, dignity, and hope for generations yet to come.